Welcome back to Storytime Boulevard, your destination to sleep. I'm Andrew, and I'm grateful to have you here with me tonight. Before we begin our tale, I invite you to pause. Take in a soft, easy breath and slowly release it. Let the weight of the day fall gently away. You've arrived at a moment made just for you, quiet, warm, and safe. Tonight we follow a small and silent traveler, a dream-walking cat named Nimble, as she visits a place hidden from the world. A place where wishes are steeped like tea, and lanterns flicker with old stories. This is the Paper Moon Café, and the table in the corner is waiting for you. At the edge of a city that never sleeps, nestled between a forgotten tailor shop and a shuttered bookbindery, there's an alley that appears only when the moon is shaped like a perfect, paper-thin crescent. The street lamps do not reach here. No map knows its name. But those who need it always find it. Tonight the alley was empty, until a shadow padded in on silent paws. Nimble. Her fur caught the moonlight like velvet dusk. Her eyes glowed, soft as candle flame. She did not rush. Nor did she pause, only moved, with the certainty of someone who knows exactly where she's going. At the end of the alley stood a door made of frosted glass and wood, the color of dreams. Above it, hanging from a crooked wire, swung a sign that read, "The Paper Moon Café, open only when the stars are listening." Nimble slipped inside without a sound. Warm light spilled across patterned floor tiles. Tiny tea candles floated inside mismatched teacups. Shelves of glass jars, each filled with stardust sugar or cinnamon fog, lined the back wall. Gentle jazz from a gramophone drifted like a lullaby through the air, and scattered throughout the cafe sat quiet dreamers. A woman in a red coat traced the rim of her cup. Lost in a memory, an old man dozed with a book still open, a half-sipped cocoa beside him. Two young friends whispered at a corner booth, laughter twinkling like wind chimes. Nimble passed them all. She wasn't here for them, not tonight. She was here for the empty table by the window. It was always set the same way. A chipped blue teacup, a folded napkin, a chair turned slightly toward the door. The table hadn't been claimed in many moons, but tonight it pulsed faintly with a shimmer of possibility. Nimble leapt onto the chair. She curled her tail around her paws and stared at the door. Someone was coming. Not because they knew they needed to, but because their heart had whispered yes while they slept. Eli didn't remember falling asleep. He had meant only to sit for a moment, to rest his eyes between pages of a sketchbook that felt heavier than it used to. The train home had come and gone. His pencil had rolled off the bench, forgotten. And in the hush of the city's late hour, he had drifted. But when his eyes fluttered open, the world had changed. The alley before him wasn't the one he knew. The stone beneath his boots was smoother, older, speckled with stardust and mist. The air smelled faintly of warm milk and rain-soaked paper, and at the end of the alley, a glowing door. Eli blinked. His heart gave a small, uncertain flutter. He could hear music, soft, like something played far away through velvet. Compelled by something he couldn't name, he stepped forward. The moment he touched the glass handle, warmth met his fingertips, and the door eased open with a bell that didn't ring, but shimmered like a sigh of recognition. Inside, it felt like a memory of somewhere he'd never been. The light was dim but golden. Tiny paper lanterns floated overhead, each glowing with the faintest flicker of a wish. A sleepy hush hung over the room, though quiet voices murmured and teacups clinked gently like wind chimes in a breeze. He stepped carefully, glancing around, unsure if he was dreaming. And then he saw her, a cat, perched atop a velvet-cushioned chair by the window, her eyes already watching him, not startled, not demanding, simply expectant, like a librarian waiting for someone to remember their favorite story. Her fur was starlight dark. Her ears twitched once, and when she blinked, Eli felt something deep inside him fall quiet. He moved toward the table. There, waiting for him, was a teacup the color of sea glass, steam curling from its rim. A folded napkin sat beside it, and a small note, scrawled in graceful handwriting he didn't recognize. It read, "Welcome back. We've been saving this place for you." Eli sat down slowly. He hadn't been here before, and yet a part of him had missed this place terribly. The cat, Nimble, leapt silently onto the windowsill. Outside, the crescent moon gleamed, casting silver light over the alley below. Eli wrapped his hands around the teacup, the warmth seeping into his palms. The first sip tasted like cinnamon and honey, and something else he couldn't quite name, something like stillness. For the first time in weeks, maybe longer, his breath came easy. He didn't know how long he'd stay, or whether the cafe would still be there if he left and came back. But as Nimble settled beside him and curled into a soft crescent of her own, Eli let the quiet hold him, and for now, that was enough. The cafe did not rush. It never did. The lanterns above swayed, as if moved by invisible tides, and the gramophone's melody hummed like a lullaby stitched into time. The tea in Eli's cup never cooled. The steam still curled like the tail of a sleepy cat. He sat in the stillness, fingers cradling the sea glass porcelain, unsure how long he'd been there. Nimble remained beside him on the windowsill, eyes half closed, though not asleep. She watched him the way only a cat can, fully, quietly, without asking anything in return. And then, as if sensing the shift in his thoughts, she jumped down with a silent pat. She walked across the floor and stopped beside a shelf behind the counter, one that hadn't been there a moment ago. Jars lined the shelf, each glowing faintly, not labeled with words, but with feelings. Mirth, a bittersweet, almost courage, a memory that smells like rain. Eli stood slowly and walked toward her. The jar Nimble had placed her paw upon pulsed a soft, peachy gold. Its label shimmered briefly before revealing itself, unspoken things. He reached out, hesitated, then touched the lid. The moment his fingers made contact, the jar warmed and opened not with a clink, but with a breath. Inside was a swirl of light and shadow, and a soft voice, his voice, saying the things he never said. "It's fine, I'm just tired. I don't want to be a burden. I'll try again tomorrow. No, it's okay, really." The words hovered in the air, not accusing, just floating. He listened, and then the most surprising thing of all happened. The words began to unravel. One by one, soft as threads pulled from a sweater, until they faded into gentle sparks. The air felt lighter. He looked down at Nimble. She blinked once, slowly, as if to say, "Now there's space." She turned and walked back toward the table. Eli followed, something warm and clear settling in his chest. When he sat down again, a small plate had appeared beside his cup, a shortbread cookie shaped like a key. He smiled. "Thank you," he said softly. Nimble gave no reply, only curled back into her crescent of fur and flicked her tail once. The cafe around them hummed with calm, and somewhere in the deep of night, another lantern flickered into being, a tiny paper moon lighting the path for someone else, in need of a quiet place to remember who they are. The candlelight dimmed just a little, the way it does when a dream begins to sigh. Eli sat back in his chair, the cookie now only crumbs, the teacup empty but warm in his hands. Across the cafe, the gramophone hummed a final note before fading into the hush. Something inside him had shifted, not loudly, not dramatically, but gently, like a window cracked open in a stuffy room. There was space now where there hadn't been. He looked to Nimble. She had moved again, soundless and sure, now sitting near the front door beneath a paper lantern that pulsed like a sleepy heartbeat. The message was clear. It was time. Eli rose and reached for his sketchbook. He hadn't drawn in weeks, not since the colors had stopped speaking to him. But now he found he didn't need to look for the image. It was already waiting in his fingers. He flipped to a fresh page, took the pencil from behind his ear, and drew. Just a few lines, simple strokes, a curve here, a flick of tail, a window glowing in the dark, a cat by candlelight. Nimble watched. Then, with a blink that felt like a quiet blessing, she turned and pushed open the cafe's door with a gentle nudge of her paw. The alley beyond was wrapped in fog. The city had returned, silent and waiting, but something about it felt softer. Eli stepped outside. When he turned back, the Paper Moon Cafe was gone. No sign, no door, only an ordinary alley, damp with moonlight, littered with autumn leaves, and hushed like the pause between two thoughts. But in his pocket, still warm, was the folded napkin. The note inside had changed. It now read, "The table is always here. Just follow the stillness." He smiled, not sadly, not longingly, but like someone remembering something they never realized they'd forgotten. And somewhere above, nestled into the arms of the crescent moon, a tiny cat watched, with eyes like stars, already listening for the next dreamer in need of a soft place to land. Thank you for joining us tonight on Storytime Boulevard. Wherever you are, in body or in heart, may you carry this quiet with you. Let Nimble's soft steps guide your breath. Let stillness wrap around you like a favorite blanket. And if ever you find yourself wandering through dreams, you just might stumble upon a paper lantern, a cup of stardust tea, and a silent little cat who's been saving a seat just for you. Good night.